Well, good day, everybody, everywhere. How you doing? This is your boy, Coach J.L. Williams. We're going to be getting on the runway to purpose tonight, and we're going to be dealing with this podcast series of finding the true why behind your life. I think that's what all of us want to do. We want to find out what that true why is, why we showed up. What is the reasoning behind our existence? And sometimes that could be very elusive. And so what we have to do, even in the beginning, is really ask God to bring clarity to our minds and clarity to our purpose. And so let's do that. And so can you repeat this with me as we begin to embark on this journey together? God, help me renew my mind, upgrade my thinking that will ultimately change my status. I want to know why. Why do I continue to exist? Why did the sperm cell that had my name on it, why did it make it to fertilize the egg? Why, Lord? Why? And that's the question that we should be asking. Why? I think too many people are too busy not becoming, they're not becoming. And they have to understand that what fuels your life is that, when you begin to get on a pace of discovery, of being inquisitive. And don't be afraid to be inquisitive and asking questions. That's how we find out. That's how we know. That's how we become. We ask questions. And I think we have to ask questions to God that He would give us clarity in this space. Right? So sometimes we can find ourselves chasing roles, right? Chasing roles. I think the world taught us, hey, you got to chase this role. You got to become this. And it's telling us exactly, these are the things that we need to do. And if we don't do this and we don't, get this title, or if we don't do this or that, then we can't really truly become who we need to become so we can fulfill our purpose. But I think that's completely wrong. That's completely wrong. I think you really got to find out what makes you tick, what breaks your heart. What is the thing that causes you to go to that next level? What is it that fuels your faith and brings clarity to your purpose? What is it? And once we find out what that is, then we can begin to discover more about the why and the reason why we showed up. There's always a place inside of each and every one of us that gets us, that brings out the best in us, that really stokes the coals of our very existence. There is something in us that causes us to move closer to that place called purpose. And I think purpose has an address. I think it has a location. It is like a GPS, a God positioning system, God moving us to new realms and new places. And so we have to listen for what it is that He is calling us to do. The book of Jeremiah, it says in Jeremiah 1:5, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. See, God knows who you are. You're trying to figure it out, but He knows. And the only way that we can really get in that space of really knowing who we are is we got to get into the face of God, so we can get the clarity that we need, so we can really become who we are. And I think if we don't do that, we'll stay in a place of park. Our plane will be parked, and we'll never get on the runway and never discover. And so we have to get in the face of God so He can stir that space in us that causes us to be inquisitive and to be curious, and to take our foot off of the emergency brake of life. Sometimes we're so much on the emergency brake of life, and then we can never find out what our purpose is because, we're too apprehensive and we're too busy thinking of what other people think of us. And what would they think of us if we do this and we go out here? That's sort of what stops us, right? That's what stops us. Like, us thinking like, what are people going to say if we do this? And what is, my mother going to think, or my father? What is it? Because sometimes we have given more credence over to what other people have said about us versus what has God said about us. What has God said about you? What does he think about you? That's the thing that we need to be discovering. What does God think about us? And I think once we begin to really be more concerned about what God says versus what people say, we will be on a great runway and we'll be able to take flight, right? So I want you to understand this. It's time to fly. It's time for us to, feed our focus and starve our doubts to death so we can become the best version of ourselves that we could possibly be. So listen, go with me on this runway to purpose. Go with me and allow us to discover the things that we're going to discover as we begin to go down this runway to take flight. Man, don't forget, God is in control of all of these things, right? He is in control of all these things. But let me say this. As we doing this, I need you to do some things for me. I need you to write down 3 things that stir your spirit. 3 things that stir your spirit and really get you in that place, in that lather of becoming. I need you to do that for me. And that stirring of the spirit, that might just be God whispering your why. So let's do that. That's your first assignment. All right? Let's go get it.